Hello everyone and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to take a look at finishing off the Goblin Diorama. So the Goblin Diorama is a self-sustaining diorama, and it's basically what's the crew that are left over from the Goblin / Orc ships that we're going to build in the other part of this video near the end. So here you can see we're just finishing off painting up little details here. And the story of this is these, like I said, are the leftover crew from another spaceship from a fleet of ships that I'm making, forced perspective kind of ships for like taking photos of and stuff. And so anyway, less rambling. So these are the goblins left over, and they took loads of bits left from their ships, and they've made this little kind of outpost. And then what has happened is they've been captured by whichever race of being that they landed on their planet, and they've put them in a little like capsule. And these are basically trying to escape from the little capsule that they've been stuck in. So that's kind of like the story kind of type of thing. But as you can see, we're just finishing off painting up some details. We're going to brighten up that skin and make them pop that little bit more. I was going to put lights in here. I'm still debating about putting lights in here or not, but I think the way it turned out will suffice for now, basically. So as you can see, we're just roughly going in with some metallic paint here, like metal paint, and then picking out some bolts there and some nuts and bolts and screws and whatnot, and then we're just going in with some more metal kind of colors. I came across these colors on my painting kind of rack or frame, and I just thought I'd use them just because why not? It's kind of like a testing type of thing. Plus they turn out quite good. They give the kind of like a shiny metalish kind of look. So let me know in the comments what you think of these colors. This is the first time I've kind of incorporated these into projects. And I'm liking what I'm seeing, but you do have to kind of shake them up now and again. Like obviously shaking them up while you're using them, but then shaking them up nearly every second to third day is kind of necessary, because this glitter stuff tends to pool at the bottom. So just a little word of note, or word of warning, or note for thought, or yeah, you know what I mean. As you see, we got a bit of tissue stuck in there. There we go, we get that out. I got a bit of that orange paint there that I'm trying to highlight their clothes, and I got a bit of that on the stairs or something, tried to dab it off, and then the tissue got stuck. And yeah, KitbashCarnage, stuff happens. Thing is, I'm not going to hide these flaws, because number one, I'm not that good at editing, and number two, yeah, it's part of the process, really, you know. This is my kind of reasoning into recording all my videos, is to show you each and every step. I don't mean in detail of what's what, but I mean the ins and outs of doing a project. Sometimes mistakes happen, but being able to either overcome, incorporate, or to do something with that mistake instead of just letting that mistake take over you, if that makes sense, is key into this kind of hobby that I'm into, you know, like the creating process. Because sometimes you can get these blocks, and it might be something simple as not being able to think of an idea. Hence the reason I have loads of ongoing projects at once, because once I get stuck on an idea of something to do, I just kind of move on to a different project. That then takes my mind off it, and then while I'm doing that project, I might get the idea back again, or might think of a solution to what I was trying to do, and then you go back and forth. Not really the key thing to do, because you're left with lots of unfinished projects, but yeah, that's just how I overcome it. So leave your comments below how you overcome like the equivalent to hobby block, like writer's block type stuff. Is it you take a break, you move on to a different project, you try to focus on it and look up a solution? Leave a comment below on your process. So as you can see, after brightening up the colours there, everything begins to pop. And now we're just going to try brighten up the toilet roll crown that the goblin has. Apologies for the bad camera angle. The toilet roll crown that this goblin is sitting on. This channel is not for really anyone under 18 or 16 or whatnot, but yeah, we don't curse in this channel. We try not to. Sometimes, you know, shit happens. Apologies, you know, but things tend to happen. And yeah, the goblin isn't really sat in a very friendly posture, but like I said, you know, it's all about shits and giggles, really. You know, we're trying to have a bit of fun here. You know, this is just part of the creative process, and these are some fun little miniatures I thought that would be fun to add to this whole story of the crashed ship, and they've been lost from the motherships, and they've been captured and put into this little diorama, forever trying to escape. So we move on to the floating city. So this is basically a giant floating ship city for the goblins or orcs to live in. It, you know, flies around space and then lands on other planets for them to. It becomes like somewhere where they can live out of, and they can, you know, fly around and control other planets and take over the worlds and whatnot. So that's the whole idea of this. You can see in the background there's a little orc goblin attached to like a little rope, and he's basically out trying to plant bombs on any other approaching enemy vehicles or ships. So it's kind of a little bit crazy, but the whole thing was made out of Pepsi cans, sticks, lids, random bits and bobs, some supporting frames from Ramshackle Games. There you can see as like details. It's just some gears and just random little bits that I've just done to this, just to give it that little bit of character. And like I said, this is all for like forced perspective, so this will be kind of in the background, and then there'll be things in front of it to make it look like it's far away, and it's all for like a picture / diorama thing. I'm starting to do loads of these dioramas, and I'm building stuff for them, so I'm just going to eventually, whenever I get a hold of technology or wrap my head around it, I'm going to take pictures of all this, and yeah, I think it'll look pretty cool. It's something good cool to display and whatnot, so if I can persuade the partner to let me have any more room in the house. So as you see, we're just trying to pick out little bits and bobs here and there, paint them all up, and make this thing stand out that little bit more. I'm going to speed up the process in the video so you won't have to like look at all of this all the time, and you'll see me skip to bits like this where you'll see me finish basically what I've just done, and then we'll continue on. So yeah, we'll continue on to the metal parts now. And this is basically going to pick out any kind of metallic parts. Like I said, adding towards that, get that bit of hot glue off there, thank you. Adding to that detail and the character of the whole project itself. I'm not the neatest painter, to be honest, but in the end, you have to remember this is just kind of like a piece of terrain. It's just kind of in the background, forced perspective type of stuff, and all these little bits of paint that are going here and there, or mistakes or whatnot, you can put that down to it's chips in the paint and stuff like that, you know, battle damage. It's an orc kind of city spaceship, you know, it's not going to be perfect, plus it's made out of Pepsi cans, so you know, it is what it is. So these bits that we're painting right now are literally just trash kind of. It's like foam. It's like A4 sheets of foam paper you can get, and these are like just offcuts that I would have cut. And I have a bin in the hobby room, and then I have another bin. So one bin is for trash, which is usually empty, and the other bin is for stuff that I think might come in handy, which is pretty much everything stuck. This whole thing is made out of stuff that would have came out of that bin that I thought it will come in handy one day. We all have something, one of them drawers or one of them bins, so don't deny it. But yeah, like this is the type of stuff that you can make. You can make things like this. Yes, you're not going to use it in any type of actual game. Well, you could, but like a 40k game, you're going to be pushing it. Maybe your friend might let you use it, but no tournament type stuff like this. But you could use this as a piece of terrain. Like I said, you could just use it as a piece of fun. This is something that I enjoyed to do. As you can see, we've painted that up, all the metallic metal parts, and you can kind of see the guns underneath there with the door for when it lands, and then the actual door comes down and all the goblins can come out of. So the door, like the ship, lands upright, if that makes sense, on the three little rockets around it, like the triangle part. I hope any of this makes sense. Just lands down, and then the door opens, and then all the goblins and orcs can come out. So these bits that I painted silver, beside the bits that I'm dry brushing right now, are like windows, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like an old Gothic church type style, and yeah, you have to have quite an imaginative mind to see this all kind of coming into play. So I think it's about time we will get the little goblin dude and paint him up. It's just going to be a rough kind of paint job just to get the skin color and stuff like that done. Like I said, this isn't meant to be anything seen up close, if that makes sense. It's just supposed to be in the background and like a forced perspective type of terrain piece, if that makes sense. So having a kind of a rough paint job on this, so you can tell that it's a goblin orc guy and it's not just a black dot, is what we're going for. And as you can see, our little goblin dude is holding, what I think is like a mine, or that's what we're calling it. We're calling it a little mine. So he's holding a mine in his hand there, and any kind of ships that come around the spaceship city, he's just gonna strap that on. And you can see he's wearing his little jetpack there. And yes, I thought about this after painting him up. How is he breathing? But we're gonna call this guy. He's very patriotic, put it that way. So he doesn't mind not breathing. He's just gonna jump out and strap this mine to any incoming enemies. So yeah, breathing is his second thought. Defending the mothership is the first thought. So this is the second ship that we built. So this is basically like a big giant ship to defend the mothership moving city planet thing. Not planet thing, spaceship that lands on planets. Yeah, we're getting quite mumbled, but or confuddled, is that what it is? But you know what I mean. This is a big ship that will defend the city ship in orbit, basically. So there's no one, like, you can live on this, but it's not a city ship. It's just a giant ship that goes around orbit defending the mothership in case it's under heavy attack. But all this is made out of recycled kind of lids. You can see the very top of it, where the lookout point would be. That's actually like a deodorant can, and then the rockets are like diluted juice containers, and we have lollipop sticks and stuff. But you know, all this is just to make the the project have the outline of the ship, if that makes sense. So it's going to be in the background and you can tell that it's a ship. It looks like kind of like a ship, and that's what we're going for. Instead of buying a model ship and using that, we can make something that looks kind of like a ship. It's a cool little project and it will do the job that we're looking for. So as we see, we are going in and we are painting some more details. I only noticed in the end that we did the details kind of the opposite way around. So the paneling is supposed to be the goldy color and the nuts and bolts, yeah. But sure, it goes adds to the aesthetic of the KitbashCarnage channel, you know. We can't really do much. We stick to a plan and we always go a little bit off track, but everything turns out. This is what I was saying at the beginning of how do we overcome situations. We overcome it by basically making what we done as a mistake into a positive. So we just went with it and it turned out well in the end. So I've also been kind of going in between base coats, I'm tinkering around with my base coats. So sometimes I do red, because the majority of my army is red, but then you obviously can do black, you can do white, grey, whatever. But on this one I tried this speckle kind of technique. So I sprayed my black down first, and then with my other spray can I didn't really hold down as hard on the nozzle. And I just let it kind of squirt out, speckle out, and I held the can kind of pretty much far away, and it just gave this weird technique here. And then applying these paints over it, you can see that it doesn't cover that technique. So I liked the outcome of the whole project. You can see this speckle technique added to that aesthetic of battle damage or paint chipping off and whatnot. And here you can see we decided to do some hazard lines and just weird stripes like this. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. I could have done it better, but like I said, it's just for a display kind of terrain piece, and I gave it a shot, and we know for next time not to just do it roughly like this and be a bit more careful. Maybe cut them out individually, and you know, these strips, and not use 3 at a time. Some of them didn't turn out too bad, some of them turned out worse than others, but in the end, they all turned out pretty much okay. Also, you can use like a sponge, so like a dabbing technique with a sponge to paint this, or like a wider brush or anything like that. There's loads of ways to get the paint through the stencil. The dabbing technique with a sponge is the best technique in my opinion. The reason why I'm not doing that here, I don't know. I forgot at the time to use the sponge. I had the paintbrushes here beside me and I just went with it. So yeah, if I use the sponge it would probably turn out a bit better, but you know, it is what it is. And then it just falls apart. Yep, just fell apart. Yep, just came plonk, came straight off. There we go, done. Yep. Thank you everyone so much. I have a few pictures here in the end of what the finished projects turned out like. I really appreciate all the support, each and every one of you, and yeah, thank you for sticking around this long. If you have stuck around this long to the end of the video, please leave a like and a flame kind of emoji in the comments, so I know you stuck around this long. See you in the next one, everyone, and here's some pictures and stuff of the finished projects.